Hi, in this talk we are going to talk about automating your headless CMS with GraphQL. So before we start, a quick intro about me. I'm Nidhi Kumari. I'm a front-end engineer at ShopTrade. I'm a Google Summer of Code alumni. You can connect with me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is nidhijha98 and my GitHub ID is nidhikjha. Thank you JSConf Mexico for having me here. Now, for the agenda of today's talk, first we'll talk about what is Headless CMS, then we'll talk about a specific kind of Headless CMS called Contentful. We will talk about GraphQL a little bit, and then Contentful and GraphQL, how we can connect them, and then we'll code together, and if you have any questions, we will answer that. So, next, if I have to put my entire talk into one picture, this is going to be the picture. We have our data source, which is a CMS, Contentful here. I'm going to import the data from Contentful via a GraphQL API into my React-based application. So this sounds too simple, I understand. But yeah, let's walk step by step so that we understand it completely. Now, what is Headless CMS? So, previously, we had monolithic CMSs, which is like we used to put our images, our HTML code, everything into one big bucket. Now, since we modernized so much, we have a new approach called Headless CMS, where we separate the front end and the content completely. So, a headless CMS unifies the entire data into a single headless content hub, and it enables simultaneous collaboration. So if I am someone who had to change a content, but I don't want to interrupt my front-end engineer, so I'll go there and I'll change the content in Contentful, and it will be fetched into my front-end via queries, just like it was. So this is how it makes collaborative platform for us. Then it is a headless CMS which organizes the content without a connected front end, or where we can organize the content without a connected front end or display layer. And then the content from CMS is delivered via APIs across different devices. So previously, when we did not have headless CMS, we used to serve data only on our web browsers. But now, since we have tech changing day by day, we have to manage data for our wearables or our smartphones. So that's where headless CMS kind of makes our task quite easier. So now, what is Contentful? Contentful is the API first content management platform where you can create the data, manage the data, and then publish the data on any digital channel. Sounds good. So the structure of Contentful is we have organizations. For example, I'm part of ShopTrade, so my organization is going to be ShopTrade, and in that organization I can have multiple spaces for my specific projects, and then each project can have environment, a master environment, or whatever environment I'm going to work with. Then now comes the two most important part in Contentful. So I need to have a content model. I need to have a same page for each of my clothes, but I want to have like one content model where I can just create one model and I can go ahead and change the content for each page. So there I'll create a content model, and then I'll change the content of each page with the content. To understand it better, we have our next slide where we'll take a tour of Contentful. So once you go to the Contentful side, we have this kind of site there, and you have to log in, and then you will be navigated to a screen like this. Here we have talked about organization, so you can see I have my organization test here, and there I have spaces. We have spaces as the next part. So I have created talk space here specifically for today's talk. And then we have content model, where we are going to create a content model, and then we are going to create content. So let's create a content model. I want a content model, a blog post. blog post created. Now in this content model, I need to have a title. So to add new fields, we have multiple fields here. Wow. We have rich text, text, number, date and time, location, media, where you can add your images, videos, PDFs, or any other files, Boolean, a yes or no value, a JSON object, and a reference. So I need to have a text for my title. So I'll name it just title. And I don't think my title is anyway going to be more than 255 words, so I'll put it as title here. Then apart from the title, I need one more field, which is going to be a description. Yeah, so let's add a description, create one. Then I have to add a media, which is going to be my image. You can select single image, one file or many files depending on what you need on that page. I need a single file, so I'll go with single image. Let's save it. Now once you have saved it, and you can check it there in the content model. Now you have one content model, which is blog post. Now let's create a content. To create a content, right now we have only added one content model, blog post. That is why we have one option here. But if we have multiple content models and you click, you can see them in the drop down list. So let's add our only content model here, and let's name it blog 1. Blog 1 says hi. Oh, we can add more. Now let's add a media. I'll go with add existing media since I have added some media already. And I'll publish it. Now we have our first blog post ready. Now I want to add another blog post. This is going to be blog 2. This will have JSConf. Nico was awesome. Now I want to add another media, but let's add a new media here. So once you add a new media, we see there we have options like title, description, and a file. So I can add a title, new media, or whatever you want to add here. Then we can open file selector. You can choose from any of the places where you want to upload your image from. It can be from a laptop, a link, a web search, Facebook, Instagram, Drive, Dropbox. You can take a photo, record a video, or record an audio. So let's add an image. I have this one image, so I'll add this one. Then after uploading this image, we need to publish it. All the time we need to publish the data. So yeah, we can publish it, and then we need to publish our blog post too. So right now, if we go to content, you can see you have your content added. So this is about like how you can manage your data with Contentful. Let's see what we have in the next slide. We have GraphQL. So GraphQL is a query language for APIs. It provides a complete and understandable base, comes with a GraphQL schema based on its content model. So whatever model we are going to create, we will have a particular schema fixed for that model. And using the GraphQL API, we are going to fetch the data directly from our Contentful into our front-end application. Too much? So let's code it. So here we have our blog post, which is ready. Now I have already added a front-end app here. Like I have created this application using npx create react app command. So nothing hard and fast, and then I have added some code which you will get later on. So here I can see to query a data, I need to add an access token. I need to add a space ID. And then based on that access token and space ID, I am going to make a fetch call to GraphQL, and with that I'm going to get a data. I'm going to fetch the data, and as payload I'm going to pass this query here. So, but I haven't talked so to connect with a specific with specific contentful model, we need to have an access token. So for that, you need to go to the settings, API keys, and here you can add an API key. Once your API key is ready, you can just get the space ID there, paste it. Then we have our access token here. Again, we need to paste it there. So we have our front end ready. But I have this code already running on my port 3000. But what I see here is no albums defined. It is because we haven't added any query yet. So let's go to GraphQL, which is an interface for GraphQL here. Sorry. And now if I just run it, I'll see that we have some errors because I haven't added the access token. Probably my access token is wrong. Oh yes. So now since I have added it, and this is same. So now let's query the data. To query the data, so we have our first blog post collection that I already know because I have created it. Then here, let's see how many data we have, like how many queries we have. So once you run it, see here, using this URL where you will pass the space ID and access token, you can see the data here. So now let's fetch the actual data, which is our items. For each item, for each item, so here for each items, I need to pass some data here. So we have our title, then apart from that title we have a description, and we have then added an image. So we have added an image. Now see, the image, if you will leave it like this, it will start showing some errors because as we know, image is not empty. In image we have a few things, like each image has a title, and then we have title, description, and then we have added one more thing, which was the file name, right? Let's check it out. You can see like whatever it's file. So you go there, you can see the file name. Then now you run it and you can see we have our data here. Like it's log 2, log 1, log 1 says hi, it's JSConf Mexico is awesome. Then we have title for our images, and we have our data ready on the GraphQL, and we can fetch the data now to our front end. So let's use this data to get it into our front end. So now what I will do, I'll use this entire query and pass this into my front end application here. So we can add it here and save it. And now what we will do, we will just console this response in our front end application. So here, what I can see in my console is a blog post collection. In the items, I have data, which is a description, image, title. So now we have we have just console the data here. Now what we will do, we will fetch this data. We will use this data. I'll set state, and then we are going to use this data and display it in our front-end application. Well, now since we have our data here, let's get the data running. Oh, it says it has a problem. Cannot read properties of undefined reading albums. This is line number 57. Yes, because it's not album collection, it's blog post collection. So I'll take this from there and I'll add it here. Now we can see our data here. But how is that? So we have got the data, we have set state here. Then in the render, I guess we can ignore this because this is just error state handling. So I have fetched the data, from the state I have extracted blocks. In the blocks, out of the blocks I have run a map method, and I have taken the blog.title here. Here I have blog.description. Here a blog.image.url, blog.image.description, which we will use here. But we can't see an image because we haven't received the URL yet. So to get it, let's add one more thing here and we will see the URL of our image there. So let's go to our query and add a URL here. Now if we go there, we can see that we have our images here. The UI does not look good, but that is certainly not our concern here. So that is how you can fetch the data from Contentful into your React application. A few suggestions. We should not be adding our access token directly like this. Instead, it should be in an env file and then we should fetch it. And I would advise you not to use mine, since by the time you will use it, it will be deleted from there. If you have any questions, just reach out to me. And if you have any problems related to GraphQL, Contentful, just check out the live site. That's really amazing. And sorry for the UI. So this is about today's talk and about me. Let's see what we have in the slides. So here is the GitHub repo where you can get the code for this project that I have built. Then we have thank you for having me. If you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.